Hello everyone and welcome back to the Silicon Nubian YouTube channel where we're all about things tech. Wow, 3 videos in less than a week. We're on a tear here at Silicon Nubian and there's been a lot of new additions in the Linux world. We have some hardware reviews coming up, including my own personal router update and a couple computer builds, so keep an eye out for that. Today we're going to take a look at a very interesting and promising Linux distribution based on Ubuntu 18.04 LTS. It is Pinguy OS 18.04. Straight from their website, they say that the ethos of Pinguy OS, and I quote, is very simple to look good, work well, and most importantly be simple to use, close quotes. They also state, and I quote again, Pinguy OS is very much designed for people who are new to the Linux world. Many people coming from both a Windows or a Mac background will find plenty of familiar features along with some new ones that aren't available in either Windows or Mac, close quotes. So that's what they're after. Simple to use for new users, very easy to get into. So let's get into the desktop. What you see here is the login screen, post installation, and as usual, what we have done is apply all the updates necessary up until the time that we filmed this video. So with the login screen at the top, we have, of course, for visual impairment and other things here. We have indicated that we are on a wired network. We can actually adjust the volume here. So there's a few things we can do without getting into the actual configuration pop-ups that occur, because we're just at the login screen. So let's get started. Boot right into our desktop. Interesting, very clean desktop. Pinguy OS is running a modified Gnome desktop, and I'll tell you which version of Gnome in a second. In fact, I'll let Pinguy tell you. Right away, we could see that we are running Gnome Shell 3.28.1, modified, of course, by the Pinguy OS developers. So let's take a look. We have a very stark desktop, which I like actually. A very nice title bar down here with their name of the distribution. We have their symbol here. All in all, pretty nice. So let's take a look. As we do, we poke around at the top. We have the power, audio, and here we can actually choose different things. We can choose the input selector. Pretty much is right here. With the wired connection showing us, we can go to turn off our networking, or we can go to wired settings. Okay, and we'll get into that in a bit. We have a lot of settings here that we can adjust. Very simple looking, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, almost Windows 10-ish in its look, and Mac-ish, so it's very clean, very easy to deal with. We can go to Wi-Fi if the adapters are found, no Bluetooth adapters. We can change the backgrounds, the dock, notifications, search, online accounts. We can enter them here. We have privacy settings, screen lock, location services are off, usage and history are on. We can turn that off, purge trash and temporary files. We have sharing. Interesting, very good. So we can become part of a network with shared resources fairly quickly, it would seem. Although that's very simplistic, that box, but I'm sure if you turn this on. But that's for something else, that's outside the scope of this. We're just having a quick overview post-installation. Sound, of course, power, and we went to the network already. All your devices, the screen, and talk about printers and whatnot. Removable media, Thunderbolt, and device colors and details. So here we are running 3.9 gigs of RAM. This is a processor, version of GNOME 3.28-2, 64-bit. That's another thing I have to point out. Pinguy OS does no longer support 32-bit processors, so they state on their website it's 64-bit only support as of the latest version. And virtualization, of course, is Oracle and the size of the disk. And we have our date and time, automatic, we can check that out. We have our users and default applications, which we can easily change. So everything is pretty much presented to the user in a very easy to understand and deal with way, and I applaud them for that. Very, very clean. So we'll continue. We have our calendar, of course, and we have notifications. We can actually make events, it would seem. Right-clicking, left-clicking give you the same options on everything. The home button. We have our temperature, and I changed it for where I'm at. So in Montreal, and it shows our temperature. I changed it to Celsius. By default, it was Fahrenheit. And that's pretty nice, pretty descriptive. I like that. And here we have a search. We can search for anything we want. In the system, it's finding actually applications, Pinguy Builder, which I'll go through a little bit later. And here we have the screen changer, the desktop background changer. Okay, so it will change our background every 5 minutes. We have all our settings here, where to look for the pictures, whether it's online or locally available graphic files to use as our desktop wallpaper. Okay, and here we have Mint Update actually. So what they've done is they've pulled software in from different places, all based in the Ubuntu environment. But they've used stuff from Mint, they've used stuff from Ubuntu and whatnot. So far I'm liking what I see. It's very, very clean. So here we have Mint Update. Yep, Mint Update 1.0 for Pinguy OS. So that's very good. Right-clicking on the desktop, we have the usual create folder, new document. We can actually have scripts, torrent video player. Interesting. There's scripts that can run, the video organizer. And we have open in terminal, open as root, and of course desktop. There we see that our desktop background has changed, so that's fine. And we could arrange our desktop. There are no icons on the desktop at the moment. We're going to check that out in a second. Okay, coming down to the application bar at the bottom, we have our trash can, we have our terminal, and we'll start our terminal. Let's see what kernel we're running. Okay, we're running 415.0-30 generic PC. Okay, so that's the version that we're using, x64 of course. And let's continue. Here we have the tweaks, which is the settings panel, which we'll get into in a minute. Here we have an overview of system utilization. Now this is where things get a little interesting. We can see that the CPU is barely doing anything. Memory. We're using 1.5 gig of 3.9 with nothing running. I don't know if that's actual memory plus cached or whatever, but it's a lot higher than I've seen in some other distributions. But then again, we are running a tricked out GNOME interface. And I'm not going to go and say RAM is cheap. It's not necessarily cheap, but I would recommend if you're going to run Pinguy OS, you're not going to plug it into an old machine. It's not necessarily going to be a newer machine, but definitely 4 gigs of RAM recommended to get the most out of it. It is quite a beautiful looking OS so far, and of course there are compromises, of course. So here we could see all our startup apps, so we can turn them off, turn them on. System cleaner, oh interesting, package, crash reports, we have a lot we can do here. The trash, application caches, application logs, we can clean that up. Here are system services that are running, and we can turn them on and off. Oh, I like this. List of processes that are running, there's 80 that's running. It tells you where they are, their PIDs, how much memory they're using, and their actual location. And system install packages, go through the whole list, and I believe it's an uninstaller, so we can uninstall packages from here. And here we have system resources, shows CPU history, quite bouncy. Here we have the load averages, which are quite low, hard disk read and writes, history of memory, what we're using right now, we're using about 30%. History of the network, actually more than 30. Network activity. App repository manager, you can add, I guess, or remove repositories for applications. Here we have some GNOME settings, text quality, workspace switcher, window manager, and of course we have appearance, show desktop icons. I've tried this. I admit to having tried it, and I never see the icons appear, so I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. Then again, it's just a quick view of Pinguy, so I'm not going to get into all of that. I'm sure if I was using this as my main OS, I would solve that issue right there. Here were some other settings, language, theme, disks, start page. Interesting. Auto start this application. And here we can send feedback. I'm actually impressed by Stacer. I'm impressed by this application, this package. It really shows a lot of what's going on. We can see too that a lot of the installation is not minimal. I do have to say that Pinguy OS does come in 2 editions, the full Monty, which is what we install, which is everything, and a minimal version. We've installed the full one, and you could see that it has, at the present time, we're using 11.2 gigs of the 21 gig space that we have for a disk. So by no means is Pinguy OS a svelte, trim OS. It's not bloated. I didn't say it's bloated. It's not. But what it is you have to realize that you will have to throw a little bit of RAM and a little bit of hard drive space at it, but nothing that even a 5 or 6 or 8-year-old computer won't have. So far, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. This application itself, I love it. Very, very good. And here we have the software center. That is, if you've used Ubuntu or Ubuntu derivative, you're used to this. It's fantastic. It's much like an app store on your phone, where I can go in, for example, and select the application I'm interested in, get a blurb on it, and get some more details. And I can go back, and I can go to Skype, for example. The background just changed again, and it gives me all kind of details. Is it stable? The license is proprietary. What's the version? What's the download style? Size, I should say. And of course, Snap applications are supported in Pinguy OS as in the latest Ubuntus. So that's also great. Snaps, we might do a video on that, what they really are. It's outside the scope of this overview, but it is supported. So we can see that we can search, we can do a lot of things. We can check for installed applications. We can even search for updates. So it's a very comprehensive software center, but it's not overbearing. It doesn't confuse you when first started, and it's quite simple to navigate. And of course, we have Vlc Media Player, which is the media player of choice. And we're using 3.03. And the default browser is Firefox, which I have no issues with whatsoever. Starts on the Pinguy OS page. And we're just going to check its multimedia. No problems whatsoever. Oops, sorry about that. No problems whatsoever with Firefox. Not the best video clip to show, sorry about that. Okay, so let's go a little further up. Lots to see here, but it's all very well organized. Places, we can go straight to the home. Should open up our file manager, which is really good. No problems here at all. Just poking around here. Okay, we can go to downloads directly, computer, and we see the computer, everything's listed. We can even browse the network from here. We can go to browse the network. Okay, let's go to the menu now. So the menu is, again, the applications that are installed, and we have the virtual screens. Desktops is 4 of them, 4 desktops, and we start off, I guess, on the most used apps. We have the settings. So default applications, about, we're in the details. This is the settings. I think we've been through this, or we'll go through it in a minute. And go down. So let's start at the bottom with utilities. So we have a few utilities. It's not overloaded with software, but the software that's there is very useful. Terminal, system monitor. You've already seen another system monitor running. And this will give us our, here we are right there. So it shows us our CPU, our memory, 1.7 gigs, 43.6% of 3.9 gigs. Again, 4 gigs as a starting place for Pinguy OS is my recommendation. Okay, so we go up, universal access, of course. We have onboard keyboard, we have system tools, we have boot repair, interesting, thumbnailer, and here we have Pinguy Builder. I'm going to go into there right away. Pinguy Builder, telling you that you have to close all the windows, unmount any network shares while running the builder. Allows you to do a few very interesting things. Back up the complete system, including user data. Make a distributable copy with your friends. Both CDFS and ISO will be created. Make a distributable copy file system only, good if you want to add files to the CD. Make a distributable ISO file only. CD file system must have been completed already. Or remove temporary files. And you can actually select the boot menu picture for the live CD. You can select the boot menu picture for the installed environment and select the user whose current settings will be used as default, and also select the theme. Pretty powerful stuff to allow you to make your running system portable. Or, in the case of selection 1, to back it up so that restoring it can be quite simple. Now, I'm not sure if this does the image style backup. I'm not sure exactly what method that it uses to do what it does, but having this app and having it so easily laid out there is a massive plus. I like it. A lot of new systems are including time shift, and which has similar functionality. So gparted is in there. Startup Package Synaptic Package Manager is included. Good old Synaptic. It's included for you. For your usage pleasure. So let's go Sound and Video, Brazero, Clementine, probably my favorite Linux environment media player. DVD, NG, haven't used that in a while. Create a disk you want, okay. Handbrake, OpenShot Video Editor, Spotify, I do have a Spotify account, and Vlc Media Player. Pretty well thought out list. I mean, you can add stuff as you wish. It's up to you. But I can see a new user becoming productive pretty quickly, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Programming, icon browser, and mission control for Java development. We have other, Plex Media Manager. So Plex is included. Interesting. Very good. Okay, for those who know what Plex is and how powerful it is, you know. For others, you should take a quick look at that. Let's go to Office. Now we have the whole LibreOffice suite, which is included. We have some finance managers. We have Calibre, of course, Contacts, Calendar, and Document Viewer. For Internet, Dropbox is included, Empathy, Firefox, Skype, Steam is there, TeamViewer is there. Telegram desktop, XChat. Okay, I'm getting excited about this distribution. Graphics, a lot of graphics viewer, Shotwell, Simple Scan. I noticed we don't have GIMP, but then again, that's quick, so easy to install. It's ridiculous. Let's look further. Pinta, okay. Games, we have Steam. I'm not a fan of games with operating systems, but I do appreciate having Steam as I am a PC gamer, if that makes sense. So we have accessories, Shutter. I like how if you look at the bottom left corner over here, as I scroll through, you see a little blurb as to what each application does, even at the bottom. And this is very important. If Pinguy OS, as what they say, is trying to appeal to people coming from Windows and the Mac environment, having those little indicators down there is quite a positive thing. And here we have favorite apps. At the top, we have restart shell, suspend, shutdown, logout, lock screen, recent, web bookmarks. We don't have any right now. Startup apps view and list grid view. And here we have the settings for no menu. No menu. Really, really interesting. We can actually activate the hot corner, but it's been modified. You can tell. This isn't GNOME stock. This has definitely been modified, most likely. So what do we see? We've seen a few things. This on the update manager. Let's go to the tweaks, which is actually system settings. Again, once again, we have themes. We can choose different themes. Pinguy darker. We have icons, the shell, Pinguy background image, which is just going to change every 5 minutes. Go to the desktop. Now we have show icons. Now if I start clicking on the icons, none show up, even if I reboot the system, which I've tried it. So someone might be able to chime in and tell me why. Is there some other setting I have to change? Again, this is my first time with Pinguy OS. I generally don't use, not out of anything malicious, but I don't use Ubuntu-based distributions for my main PC. It's in Manjaro, and things are done a little differently. So someone could chime in and tell me what's up. Extensions, these are things you add for a little functionality to your desktop. Open weather's included, so we can add no menus included. Email notifications, no email notifications, so we can actually put email notifications right on the desktop and a few other things. We can see that quite a number of extensions have been installed, and there are others available, I'm sure. Fonts, of course, this is to manage all of our fonts. Interesting, if you look over here, when I'm on the desktop, nothing's showing. As soon as I go over a window, it tells me what window is active. So that's pretty cool. I like little things like that because they show that the developers have thought about the little things. It's not just the big things in operating systems. These days, because of so many Linux distributions, it's the little things, the little tweaks, the little additions or even subtractions that make a distribution special. So here we have keyboard and mouse, extended input sources, we have settings for that, power settings, not that many. Suspend when laptop lid is closed. I'm sure we can access more settings elsewhere. Startup applications, variety, which is our background changer, and mint update, of course, which keeps looking for updates and other things. Top bar, we can change things immediately. For example, if I click on seconds and you look over here, you'll see that the seconds comes in, but the icons won't. Interesting. Windows, we can control some aspects of window behavior and workspaces. How many workspaces are there, how they're handled, and pretty much that's your settings. So let's wrap this all up. Pinguy OS 1804, Ubuntu-based distribution with a heavily tweaked GNOME interface with all the enhanced menus, panels, and dock bars. 2 editions available. Just a little overview of what I said before. Full and mini. This is the full version. They say the full version does not come with an email client, but installing Thunderbird or anything in this operating system, in this particular distribution, I should say, is so simple. No 32-bit versions. If you've noticed or not, some of the GNOME default apps have been replaced with Mate versions, but it's not a big deal. I like this. I like Pinguy OS. I like how clean it is. I love the functionality. I love that there's not 2 or 3 apps to do one thing. The choices of applications, it seems to me very sane and very enhancing being productive almost immediately. Installing this and getting started looking at web content, even creating content. I mean, you have an OpenShot video editor installed, doing some minimal development with Java and other things is right off the bat available to you. What I've seen in a virtual environment is performance seems to be more than acceptable. Be mindful though that you do have to have, I would say, starting point 4 gigs of RAM and maybe a Core 2 Duo or higher CPU to run this. I don't think it's that demanding of resources. Just be mindful of the RAM to get that running. and it'll run like butter. Really like Pinguy OS. Definitely something that I would recommend people take a look at. It is a very viable Ubuntu spin, or at least based on Ubuntu, and it definitely has my attention, and I like it a lot. So that's the video for today. If you like it, thumbs up. Give me some comments in the comment section, and tell others about the Silicon Nubian. Subscribe, and give us a shout out. Even if you don't have much comments with respect to this review, just give us a shout out to say that you watched it. Did you enjoy it? Is there other distributions that you'd like me to take a look at? Thanks a lot, and take care.